What would you do if this were your living room? When it comes to designing your own spaces, it's easy to get stuck. You might feel unsure about the next step, or like something's still not quite right, but you can't put your finger on it. That's where a fresh perspective and a bit of design insight can make all the difference. In today's video, I'm reimagining this living room, from layout to style. And along the way, I'll share some practical tips that you can use when tackling your own design dilemmas with confidence. Alright, let's dive in. This is Anna's main living space, and she's a dear subscriber of the channel. In a very sweet note, she wrote this space is used as a home office, dining room, living room, and guest bedroom occasionally. She started to bring some character to this space by adding these wall moldings and creating this gorgeous fake fireplace. Good job on that one, Anna. Still, she feels it could be better. She says, I've always dreamed of furnishing the space with antique pieces, but they're both expensive and difficult to source. That's why you'll notice a lot of IKEA furniture. Nothing wrong with that. Recently, I was lucky enough to find two beautiful second-hand chairs. Now my biggest dilemma is picking a sofa that will complement both the chairs and the overall design of the room. She's a bit afraid of choosing something that's too heavy visually. She also likes to have some variation throughout the year. I'm also including a photo of my rug. It's not fixed in place, as I plan to swap between a winter and summer rug depending on the season. This one is the winter rug. Although there is no TV in here, she mentions, a big dream of mine is to buy a projector and use one of the walls as a screen, or alternatively to get a projector screen that can be hung up. Ideally, when sitting on the sofa or in a chair, one should be able to easily have a conversation, but also have a clear view of the screen. And finally, she's having trouble with the layout. As you can see, the dining table is currently placed very close to the window. This is our workaround. When guests come over, we pull it into the middle of the room to create enough seating space. I'd really appreciate your suggestions on how to position the sofa and chairs more effectively. So there's my challenge for this room. Alright, so let me first share my thoughts about this space. First, I love the attention to detail. Although there are indeed many pieces from IKEA, this doesn't look like a boring room to me. The molding, fireplace, intentional decor items, and these floor-to-ceiling curtains covering this whole wall shows intention, and that's a great start. Also, love the second-hand chairs. They go very well with the rug and bring more color to the space. I know she mentions that the main challenge is to choose the right sofa, and that's definitely important. But I wanted to focus on the layout first, because there's one major thing that stands out to me, and that is the lack of a focal point. Now, every room will benefit from a defined focal point. Let's say it's the spot that grounds the whole space, making it look cohesive. Here we do have a fireplace, which in 99% of the time is the focal point of the room. But the current layout is not considering that at the moment. So the room doesn't feel cohesive to me. So let's try to improve that. So since Anna was kind to include all the dimensions, I was able to draw the floor plan and include all the pieces that she currently has in there using Coohom. This is the software that I use for all my projects. It's super easy to learn and helps tremendously in visualizing the space and all the possibilities. You can get a lot done with the free version, which is great. But if you wish to explore their more advanced features or be able to create multiple projects, you might consider their Pro subscription. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to try it out. This is not sponsored, but I do get a small commission if you subscribe using my link at no extra cost to you, and that helps support the channel. Alright, so this is how the space looks like in 3D. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to make the fireplace the focal point by moving the seating area closer to it, like so. So for this, the sofa can't be too large. Something like this will work just fine. In fact, I believe that the Morable love seat from IKEA is a great option for this space. It has the perfect size, and I love the wooden legs for a touch of warmth. and the legs also make this piece look lighter. Choosing furniture with legs as opposed to one that sits directly on the floor is a great tip for smaller spaces, since it allows you to see below it and therefore gives the impression that the floor extends further. Just be careful not to choose 100% of your furniture pieces with legs, because that would also look weird. Aim for a mix of both, for a more balanced look. Okay, back to the sofa. I like this color option as well. It's not plain beige or gray, so it has some more personality. And this very light touch of green can work with the current pieces, and it is also neutral enough to be paired with other rugs too. Alright, so now we have a well-defined living area. And this layout is great for conversation, I love it. But now with the living area in the center of the room, the other pieces had to be moved as well. Now I chose to replace all of the storage solutions that she has in here for something else, which I'll show in a second. Let's first focus on the dining area. Before, the desk was placed right next to the dining table, basically eating up one sitting space. Besides, if we could separate these two zones, that would be better, right? So both working and dining have their dedicated areas. Okay, I'll keep the table and chairs, but let's add more seating by adding a bench and placing it closer to the wall, like so. A storage bench would be even better, so you have even more storage. I love this solution for small rooms. When you place a dining table closer to the wall, the whole space can be better utilized. And now we have the perfect spot for the home office area. I could just place the desk facing the wall like this, but that lovely view from this big window can't go to waste. Especially when you're working, it is so nice to look outside from time to time. So I'll place it like so. Alright, so before we had 3 storage solutions in this space, each one different from the other, and that contributed to the lack of cohesion as well. Not that having 3 identical Malmo chests of drawers, each positioned in one spot, would look much better either. But if they could fit together in one single wall, that might be an option. It's actually possible to achieve something very close to a built-in look using multiple IKEA pieces. But since we don't have the space to do that here, I'd suggest to replace those 3 items for a large bookshelf. Something like the Billy bookcase would be great here. It's customizable, so we can have more closed storage or open shelves depending on your preference. I would choose something with a bit of both, and it would be the perfect backdrop for online calls when working from home too. Alright, so with the layout and all the major pieces defined, it's time to bring in some character with decorative objects. By removing the bookshelf and sideboard from these walls, they became way too empty. And since there's not enough room to add any more furniture in here, the best way to deal with this is with some wall art. I would choose some beautiful wooden frames and meaningful black and white pictures. To complement those, I would also add a pretty brass picture light above each one. This will connect with the brass from the mirror frame, add visual interest, and another source of warm light to create a cozy mood at night. By the way, there are battery-powered ones that don't require hard wiring, way easier to install. Both frames would have the same size, but they wouldn't be identical, so we have some character while still maintaining the symmetry. As for this other wall, I chose to hang 3 identical frames to create some height. I think it looks good with the symmetry created by the wall moldings. Above the bookshelf, I placed a potted plant to add some greenery, some more pictures, and another lamp, because I'm all for having multiple sources of light in a room. And on the open shelves, some meaningful decor completes this cute corner. Finally, I noticed that there was a very cool chandelier above the dining table. Unfortunately, by moving the table closer to the wall, this light fixture would also have to be moved. So I would keep this piece, if I could deal with the electrical work. But if you'd rather not, a pendant would also look very good in here. And it can be installed like this, with a ceiling hook right above the table. Oh, and before I show the final results, I just want to mention that with this layout, a projector screen would be perfect here in front of the fireplace. By mounting the projector on the ceiling, you have your own private cinema. Alright, here are the final renders of the space. And I also created a view of one of the angles using Photoshop, so we can see how the actual pieces would look in real life. So here's how the room was before, and here's the after. Now we actually have a focal point, so the whole room looks more cohesive. And we were able to keep most of the pieces in here and still create 3 separate zones in a relatively small space. Besides, I still think this room has so much character, with the wall moldings and the fireplace, and all the color with the rug and the chairs. And with the new placement of the table, we were able to add even more seating for larger gatherings. So now the table doesn't have to be moved to the middle of the room when you have friends and family over. So what did you think about this transformation? Would you do anything different? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really love to work on stuff like this, so I do plan on bringing more content like this soon. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel to see more content like this. Thank you, Anna, for submitting your space, and thank you guys for watching until the end. See you next time!